What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin price chart and taking a peek over there at the altcoin market caps. As this morning, we've seen Bitcoin hit as high as above $42,000, with it currently sitting at $41,645 as I'm recording right now. To say markets are excited would be an understatement. Not only have we seen Bitcoin rampaging, we even saw gold set a new all-time high overnight, which it has since taken back. But even as we kick off this week, will the Dow Jones Industrial Average print a similar candle to like it did last week, which would be enough juice to put it into an all-time high? There's a lot of optimism out there in the markets for sure, and there's no question it is a nice sigh of relief to see Bitcoin sitting there near $42,000. Now, I'm sure most people would love for me to come on here and say, we're going to the moon, but I do always try to take this with a level-headed approach, especially in emotional times, whether the emotions are depression, toxicity, sadness, despondence, or if we're in excitement, euphoria, irrational exuberance. It doesn't matter. I do try to step aside from that. People always ask me, how can I remain so calm during really crummy times of the market? That the challenge is just as hard when things are very exciting. And so trying to keep that level-headed approach as prices are moving up and taking that look around the market, looking at sentiment to see what's going on out there. So we'll take a look at this current price action of Bitcoin and talk about it here for a little while. As we know, we've been following several things on here, one of them being like what happened back in 2020 before the market just ripped to the upside. Still, to this point, Bitcoin's price behavior has still mimicked that very closely. I don't see anything that has deviated away from this as of yet. But of course, I do have to be mindful that there is some trickery going on there because of what we have seen the price action do for the last almost 3 years. Price is still mimicking standard retrace behavior. If we overlay a Fibonacci retracement on top of what price action has done so far, you can see that this morning, what did we hit? A 50% retracement for Bitcoin. One of the things we talked a lot about in 2022 and 2023 is what would happen to retail sentiment once we got back to retracement levels. And that you would see euphoria, excitement. This time is different. We're going into new all-time highs. And I do believe we're starting to see some of that behavior emerge there, at least over the last 24 hours with what I've seen over there on Twitter or X. Again, today marks a 50% retracement. And that's what this is so far. To think that it's anything otherwise at this point is extreme speculation. And my guess is you're probably hanging your hat on a narrative, likely that narrative being a Bitcoin ETF. However, with us reaching this retracement level, I do become very mindful that there's just not a whole lot of room left percentage-wise, even if we were to go significantly higher from here into the retracement levels. That from the lows, Bitcoin has now gotten up 172% and really putting us at about, 20% remaining, especially if we got over here to the 702 retracement for Bitcoin or the $1 trillion market cap, which is where it just so happens to be laid at. There's only 21% remaining after a massive rise of 172, 173%. And I would say an interesting phenomenon we're witnessing that we've talked about for a very long time is how much excitement there is out there, how much mockery of the bears there is out there at this point. And the big question becomes, is this just, bullish sentiment or is this euphoria sentiment? And I'm not quite sure that it's actually euphoria sentiment. But do I think like retail is definitely getting swayed to one side? Yes, for sure. Are they all doing it back at retracement levels? Yeah, for sure. But it's not like it wasn't expected to happen, because I've gone through my emotional log on here to show that once we would get through this level, that feeling of someone standing on your chest would start going away. And that really came from sharing my experiences of back in 2018 and 2019, that breaking to the upside, getting back to here, it didn't alleviate that feeling. It didn't alleviate that pessimism, that doubt in the market until that particular break came. And an example of that would be right in here. And I've read that emotional log to you guys in videos and in Markets in the Morning live streams. I've written newsletters on that particular level was where the sentiment completely shifted. It was in here that euphoria actually ended up coming in. But it was in here where that self-deprecating, negative, stinking thinking, pessimism all faded, really, once we got through there. And I showed many times that this was that exact same level, and that's where the stinking thinking would really disappear. And I think we have seen that happen. Now the question becomes, well, okay, is this just kind of that standard optimism, that kind of shock, like, wow, okay, we're going up? Or have we reached irrational exuberance, euphoria? This time is different. It's not just a retrace, it's going to the absolute moon. Well, it became important to realize, what did happen in here, right? It got up to about the 618 retracement and then it tumbled over, right? Where are we at right now? We're at the 50% retracement over here in 2023. So in 2019, where did it get to? We got to like right around there, right? A little bit higher. And like I've said a million times, this is not 2018, 2019, and 2020. This market is totally different. I never would entertain that the whole time we've been in here of a 2018, 2019 situation. The concerns come, from the bigger picture of the stock market, if this is something different in regards to Bitcoin cycles being able to continue themselves and keep going, because this is kind of like the final hurrah for the stock market. It's in distribution. But even if we were to take the example of saying, hey, we're just repeating the start of a new super cycle for Bitcoin and it's going to go crazy, but it's going to take full cycle timing, right? And we're just going to keep moving at this velocity and do these same things that we see over here for Bitcoin. Well, what ended up happening in here, right? What was the thing that ended up happening in 2016? And when this happened in here, after breaking from this range, where did it go to, right? It actually ended up going back to a 618 Fibonacci retracement level, then pulled back and went into the range, right? And it was a euphoric breakout. It was really exciting, similar to what we're seeing right now. But even here, we hit a retracement level and then went back to backtest the previous range, like we've shown from all the super cycles prior, showing that 2018 to 2019 was not like a recovery after a super cycle. That's a mid-cycle fourth wave consolidation, but that this would be similar to recoveries after super cycles from like back in 2012 and 2015 and 16. And so you could see that in here. That's what ends up happening, right? It goes and it breaks out, it gets wild. And then what do? We go back and we back test the previous range. In the event of this being a super cycle, that would still be totally normal to happen. And with this being where we're at currently right now, it's still just a retracement. If we're expecting it to go into all-time highs right here, we're expecting it to behave different from 2013, different from 2016 and 17, and different from 2018, 19, and 20. And that's fine to think it'll be different, but I don't have a way to hang my hat on that. And I definitely don't hang my hat on any of the narratives that get propagated in the Bitcoin community, especially, volcanoes, El Salvador, store of value, inflation hedge, ETF, none of that stuff, because Bitcoin tends to respond really well to the Fibonacci's and respond really well to just the price chart. It's really actually quite predictable for Bitcoin, one of the easiest charts in the cryptocurrency market. But as we get back to this retracement level, we're seeing euphoria, we're seeing excitement, we're seeing, oh my gosh, can you imagine how high it's going to go as this ETF gets ready to get approved? But it's amazing to think back to just a month and a half ago, and that people were screaming gloom and doom. And that's how quick sentiment can shift in a market. And a lot of times in here, I'll catch flack to say, you know what? They're going to get left behind. It's going to be epic. And then sentiment will flip. And the biggest thing I've always said is that sentiment will definitely flip as we get back into the retracement levels, because that is what happens. It's like return to normal, right? It's a standard bubble pop psychology behavior that as we get back into retracement levels, retail becomes euphoric, right? What do? They become euphoric at tops, they become super bears at the bottom, and then they become euphoric again back into the retrace levels. And as long as we are just retracing, I have to treat it that way. And so for me, I've even started selling some of my Bitcoin that have accumulated all throughout here. And you guys know it. You watch the channel. Unapologetically bullish, a little spicy. But as we get in here, all that Bitcoin that I got in 2022 and 2023, it has begun to get let go of in here. I wrote a post over here on Twitter discussing it last night. I'll read it to you guys really quickly. Last night I posted, Bitcoin's bullish move has been going on for over 1 year. Many are just realizing it now. With that, I'm now beginning to actively sell the Bitcoin I bought at the lows. We're up 162%. It's only 24% till we hit the $1 trillion market cap, the 702 retrace. I suspect the comment section will be filled with, we're just starting. Are you crazy? Bitcoin ETF. We aren't just starting. It's been rising for over a year, and the vast majority waited, panicking during the wall of worry. But now, most aren't worried anymore. They are fearless. I suspect we'll see $30,000 to $32,000 one day, even in the most bullish of scenarios. Maybe I'll buy there. But what will you do if it goes into an all-time high? I own altcoins. They'll absolutely demolish Bitcoin if Bitcoin goes into an all-time high. And anyone who has studied the historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market knows that. And I still suspect altcoins are going to massively outperform Bitcoin if all this is a retrace for Bitcoin. See my recent Wyckoff accumulation posts. Otherwise, what a journey. Feels good to take some off the table. I spent a year and a half on the opposite side of retail with them screaming, we're going to 12K. I got to enjoy about a month with us on the same side as excitement returned above 35K, but this will, of course, put me on the enemy list again. That's unfortunate, but it comes with going against the consensus. While I don't enjoy being viewed as the enemy, I never let it deter me from doing what I think is right. And just know, I'm not the enemy. I spent a year and a half screaming the bottom was in. It's just that many wouldn't listen. Again, I've begun selling the Bitcoin I bought at the lows in 2022 to 2023. I still have the original 35% I bought back in the $3,000 to $6,000 levels in 2018 and 2019. And it'll be a process for me to sell this, as I don't do things in one large lump sum. But Daddy is getting paid. And well, it's as we get back into retracement levels. It should be no surprise to, to anybody. And last night when that was posted, right, it's right when the market cap is getting to the 50% retracement. So now it's just kind of working out this area and seeing, where is it going to top at? Where is it going to struggle at? I discussed in that post about the 30 to 32K, right? That's as if we go back and backtest the top of the range that we just broke out of. That's similar recovery stuff to back to 2016, similar recovery behavior to back in 2012 and 2013. And in the end, for me, you guys know it. I've spent a long time talking about retracements. I'm following through with what I preached for the last year and a half, that we would go back up. The reason why retail tends to believe, no, this time is different. We're going much higher. Bitcoin ETF, don't you understand? It's because they just didn't see the image in the first place. They didn't understand the retracement in the first place. So the fact that we're even going back up after believing that we were doomed for so long, it has caught them by surprise. And if it's caught them by surprise, it must mean there must be some type of reason why it's happening. And that's where the whole narrative of the Bitcoin ETF comes in here. Nothing about talking about a retrace was based on a Bitcoin ETF. This was just structurally what would happen, right? But what is absolutely normal behavior is for retail to get super excited back into retracement levels. And that's always concerning because whenever we've done that historically, things haven't ended well. Things haven't ended well. But otherwise, congrats to those who have ridden this all the way up and didn't get washing machined the whole way. Hopefully some life lessons were learned about just overcoming difficulties and having your own conviction and not needing to listen to the herd, not being a part of the masses, because the masses are always wrong. It just always tends to be that way, that the masses will always get wrong-footed at the reversals. As I've said, I always thought 2023 would be an exciting year, but when it comes, it will happen quickly and briefly. We still have, 26 days, 27 days left in 2023. It's still plenty of room for excitement to happen. But a lot of times these things can be short-lived. And we could see that altcoin market just shoot its way up like I showed last week in that long kind of ramble video. And that could all happen very quickly. But if you're not feeling the excitement out there in the market, it obviously is there. We'll keep checking in on this every day. For Bitcoin, I still think, where we're at obviously is a concerning point at the 50% retracement, but I still think, it could go as high as like 20% higher than where it's at right now, getting up into those lower 50,000s. But for me personally, at this point, it's now time for me to start taking some of that off the table. And I have begun doing that. So I thought as we kick off the new week and as all the excitement is out there in the market, I would come in here and just stomp on it. No, that's not what I'm intending to do, but it is important for me to show you the retraces and that this is just what we've talked about the whole time. And now we're getting back into it. We're seeing euphoria. I don't know if we're seeing euphoria, but we're seeing absolutely excitement out there in the market, and to be real mindful of it at this point. But otherwise, I'll go ahead and start wrapping this thing up. You guys, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you're looking for something to do, of course, you can check out my website over here, which is bcbacker.com. It's got over 40 videos and over 11 hours of content, deep diving into the historical behavior of the cryptocurrency market and understanding how these things do play out in here and how history is played. I also teach you how to set up your own charts and your own indicators within TradingView and CoinTrader Pro, and try to do it in a simple and easy to understand way with Wyckoff accumulation, Elliott wave theory, and a lot of this other things that I've learned in the market when it comes to research data and percentages and why those things matter. And that's why I'm showing you this stuff with percentages, saying, hey, look, there's like 20% left in there. Mathematically, is that really that great? There's also downloadable PDFs in here, so you can put those on your computer. You can print them out for yourself to go along with a lot of this different stuff on Elliott wave theory and Wyckoff accumulation and different patterns. It's $39 one time, no subscription, no recurring fees. Right over here on bcbacker.com. I do also have a newsletter that I write over here on blockchainbacker.substack.com. Lately, the last several newsletters have been focused on developer data, percentage drawdowns, and the inflation rate or the circulating supply increase rate for these altcoins and how that impacted price performance in 2021 to try to find a way to better improve the odds. If you don't know this, only about 2 out of every 10 from the top 100 had meaningful runs back in 2021, especially from the top 30. Were there things that could have been focused on rather than just going shopping on CoinMarketCap, looking at the top 20 or top 30, was the performance better there, or was the performance better by looking at other data? And I've really been diving into this, giving case studies on it to show there was other things that could have been focused on that would have performed better. And we'll see if that does apply to 2023 and 2024. But you can check out all of this. These do come with audio recordings in here. So I do the voiceover of all of these newsletters explaining them. The most recent one is 28 minutes long. This is available again over there at blockchainbacker.substack.com. There is a link in the description of this video to my Substack, and there is a link over there to bcbacker.com right here in the description of the video you're watching right now and every video and live stream that I do. Otherwise, December's off to a good start. Welcome to the new week. Welcome to an above $40,000 Bitcoin price. But on that note, guys, I'm going to wrap this thing up. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I am not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.